shaking and loud booms reported from the 3.1 magnitude quake in New York. And we also had another one today as well in the same area, 2.1, just south of that, closer to New York. The 3.1 magnitude earthquake that we had a little while back, we made a video on this. The 3.1 that was in Glens Falls, New York. And this was on March 11th, on Wednesday, March 11th. And it was reported felt by 2,617 people. As you can see, this is the shake map, a USGS shake map. And we see that it stops here at this block. But if you were to extend these lines, you could see these lines, if you were to extend them, the shaking goes all the way down to Manhattan, okay, Long Island, Manhattan. And we know that 3.1 may not be a very big quake, but in the East Coast, on the East Coast, you feel them 10 times more than you would feel them on the West Coast. And obviously, we know that the other thing is that we've had an increase of earthquakes on the East Coast lately. We notice that we've learned here, right here, we have a seamount of 30 volcanoes off the coast of New York, Rhode Island, Maine. Maine has 5 volcanoes, as we did videos on that, showing that, okay? And we've had the point showing that we have a magma body, a mantle plume here, straddling the Great Lakes. The western part goes into Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, and the eastern part goes under the New Madrid seismic zone right here. Okay, so that's it creates a rift here. And we're going to talk about this because it's been felt all the way down to Manhattan. So we've had, of course, shaking, but also loud boom sounds reported from this 3.1 magnitude just north of Albany, South Glen Falls in Saratoga County, a rare incidence of noticeable seismicity. The village north of Albany experienced an earthquake of magnitude 3.1 around 6:43 a.m. in the morning. The epicenter was located at 43 north and 73 west, south-southwest of South Glen Falls. It was shallow, it was at 8.2 miles, according to USGS. The shaking and loud booms also reported in Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Long Island, of course. While there are no reports of damage or injuries, residents say they were woken up by shaking and from the loud booms that they heard. Mark Mulholland, WNYT Saratoga North County News Chief, said in a tweet, "Here's how I describe it at my house in Wilton. A loud boom which sounded like a massive tree falling, followed by about 5 to 7 seconds of shaking, which rattled the handles on my dresser drawers." And there were no reports of injuries, as we said, from the quake, but folks were awakened by the shaking. Residents shared their experiences of the earthquake on Earthquake Report, with reports of shaking lasting between 2 to 30 seconds. One resident in South Glen Falls said the earthquake sounded like a dump truck slammed into the building very hard. My husband says it sounded like a D train arriving at 34th Street. It was scary. We went outside to look for damage but found none. Our neighbor and her boyfriend felt what seemed like a sonic boom as well. My eardrums still feel sore, she said. You can imagine, that's really something. Another person from Saratoga Springs said, I thought a truck crashed outside my house. I was upstairs and the building shook and the windows rattled. A Queensbury resident creatively described the earthquake as feeling like a fairly large dog was under the bed, rolling to get out. But we don't have a dog, she said. And this is from, parts of this were from Newsweek. It's on Bennett Reality. And as we know, the earthquakes in the Adirondack region, as we said, this is a part of the mid-continental rift. And people are not, geologists are not talking about this. They're saying, don't worry, we don't have many quakes on the East Coast because, the East Coast is not on the end of the North American tectonic plate. That's okay, we understand that. The fact is, though, that you have a mantle plume in the middle of the United States straddling. Let's go to the map and I'll show you. Okay, here we are, south of Berkeley. This is the location of our earthquake on Wednesday. And let's put in the other smaller quakes as well, because this was only a map of 2.5 and above. Oh, we just had another one today. 2.1 in New Hampshire, which is basically the same area, okay? 2.1, felt by 36 people. Okay, Adirondack area, it's just in the area. Now, as I told you before, so you know, this is the amount of earthquakes that we've had recently, the past week. And this is the area of the 30 East Coast volcanoes of the sea on the seamount right here. Okay, that's 30 volcanoes. They're pointing towards this way, and they're pushing up. And we have 5 volcanoes in Maine. I've done a couple of videos on that. And the beautiful lakes that you see in the mountains are all volcanic areas there. At one point in the past, we had about 880 million years ago an over 7 VI supervolcanic eruption right around here. I used to live in Montreal, hence my accent. Okay, so this, let me go to the map. This is the end of the North American plate. It ends here. These are the Azores. Oh, we had another earthquake at the Azores as well, Portugal. I notice that whenever we have Azores quakes, we also have East Coast quakes. We also have, of course, the pressure coming from here, right along this line, as you can see. Italy, Turkey, Azores, and right there. And of course, this area here, this is all volcanic islands. The Azores are in the middle of the 3 plates. The African plate right here, the North American plate, and the Eurasian plate. Okay? Now, just because the fact that the East Coast is not on the edge of the tectonic plate of North America doesn't mean that it doesn't get earthquakes. This is where we have the mid-continental rift, going like a horseshoe shape like this, okay? And it goes right through here. That's why a lot of people in Kansas, especially, are hearing a lot of booms, shaking, their house shaking, supersonic booms, and they're saying why, you know, they have no supersonic jets flying above them. It's because you have, oops, sorry, okay, you have 15 volcanoes there in Kansas, 15 volcanoes, diamond spitting volcanoes, 3 of them here, 3 of them here, another 9. Okay, 12 and 3, 15 at least. Okay, 15 diamond spewing kimberlite volcanoes, not only diamonds, but precious gems and semi-precious gems as well. Okay, so this goes here. The mid-continental rift goes like the Keweenaw Fault, goes here like this, goes here like this, all the way down to Texas. All the way down to Texas. Okay, that's the one part of the horseshoe right there. That's a rift valley. Superior was once much closer to Wyoming. And you can understand the Great Plains is a rift valley. It's got magma and it's sort of pushing the land. As the magma comes up, stretches it. The other part of the horseshoe is like here. It's going like this. Okay, so all this here, like this, has magma underneath. The geologists don't know where the magma is coming from, but it's there. And, okay, we have magma here. We have the Baja magma. This is today's Quake 3. The Baja feeds West Coast and Yellowstone, that magma, the mantle plume. We have the mid-continental rift. We have the Real Foot Rift, the New Madrid seismic zone, which is a rift valley. And the geologists say that has an uptick in activity. And we see a lot of activity here as well. Okay? And these are the 30 underwater volcanoes off the East Coast, which you can see they're pointing right here. They're pointing right here. And as we've noticed together, every time we have an earthquake at the junction of these three plates, North American plate, African plate, and Eurasian plate, we always get, quakes on the East Coast. Not that, I don't know, maybe they're connected, maybe they're not connected. Maybe this is closer to what's happening here. Or here. This is okay. 5 magnitude. We have volcanoes here as well. Here volcanoes. All these islands are volcanic islands. Puerto Rico and the Antilles, and we have wherever you have rift valleys, you have volcano. We have a volcano in Jackson, Mississippi. Where is it? Okay, Jackson, Mississippi has a stadium right over the volcano crater. Believe it or not. And we also have asphalt volcanoes right here, as you can see. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. The fact that, okay, this is a new one, as we said, today's quake, 2.1. So you have a lot of activity there. And the fact that it's, sorry, where did this come from? 3.5 in Kansas, okay. As you can see, as we said, the Adirondacks, the 3 largest known earthquakes, $2.2, Cornwall, Ontario, Messina, New York, 5.8 magnitude, Adirondack Mountains, 4.9. Now, earthquakes in the central and eastern U.S., although less frequent than the western, are typically felt over a much broader region. East of the Rockies, an earthquake can be felt over an area as much as 10 times larger than a similar quake on the west coast. A magnitude 4 earthquake can be felt in many places as far as 60 miles from where it occurred, and it infrequently causes damage. Okay. Faults, earthquakes everywhere, occur on faults within bedrock, usually miles deep. Most of the Adirondacks bedrock was formed several generations of mountains. Roads were eroded over a billion years or so ago. Now, okay, they studied the San Andreas, California faults are pretty known, but not on the east. And as I've told you many times before, my parents were architects in both in Montreal and New York City, and especially in Montreal. As many floors that you had above ground, you had to have as many floors below ground as basements to make a proper foundation for the building so it wouldn't topple over, okay? So that's why Montreal has a lot of underground subways and malls, because of the buildings that they have above ground. The soil is so soft that they have to make a lot of. This goes for the whole area here. The soil is very soft compared to what's there. The sediment is very, very soft. It's also very low lying. So that's why you feel the earthquake so much more. So all of you there, please be careful. Know that, we do have earthquakes on the East Coast as well. And this one particular one was felt all the way to New York, Long Island, and the whole area. Let's see let's see this shake. What about this shaking? Do they have a shake map for this one? I doubt it. No, they don't. I don't think they have it. No, they don't have it. Okay. Anyway, as we can see, that's a little bit closer to New York, but it's smaller, so maybe they didn't feel it. So please be careful, and all of you, please be very careful. Don't shake people's hands. Just go namaste, put your palms together and bow to them very respectfully. I'm sure they'll understand. Wash your hands very well, and God bless you all. Thank you for your support. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.